This is Highgrove today, the family home of His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales and his wife, the Duchess of Cornwall, the former Camilla Parker Bowles. Highgrove is open to the public on selected dates when the family is not there between April and October. To visit Highgrove is to discover the history, inspiration, and the unique organic management which is behind this incredible garden. Whatever you may or may not feel about Prince Charles, he is a man who has been steadfast in his beliefs regarding the environment, climate change, organic gardening, and holistic living, especially when it comes to agriculture. And this sign really says what is about to happen. Highgrove really is old fashioned in many ways, and the prince has now been proven that so many of his old fashioned organic and sustainable strategies are, while old fashioned, now current and preferred. This, by the way, was one of the only two pictures I managed to take on my first visit, as phones, cameras, binoculars, and recording equipment are strictly forbidden. Security is very tight, and you are guided in a group you are expected to stay with throughout your visit. This is the home in which Charles and Diana raised their sons, William and Harry. Princess Diana reportedly wasn't a fan of the 9-bedroom property, which she thought was too small and not private enough. If Prince Harry was about 2 in this picture, then it would be about 1986, and it was not open to the public at this time. Since then, Charles has transformed the gardens as well as his house. Today, after the hard work of scores of people, the garden, which is about 15 acres, unfolds in a series of highly personal and inspiring rooms, each one reflecting the prince's interests and enthusiasms. Highgrove now welcomes nearly 40,000 visitors a year, and since it opened to the public 25 years ago, it has now raised £7 million from ticket sales, tours, events, retail, and catering for charities of all sorts. This is the Sundial Garden, the first section the prince replanted, which contains neat rows of boxwood and yew on the corners. Prince William and Harry played here and in other parts of the garden as youngsters. Centered by a large stone sundial, a gift from the Duke of Beaufort, this area blooms with purple, blue, and pink delphiniums, said to be the prince's favorite flower. And everywhere you look, there are pots, sculpture, little hobbit houses, and lots of mementos and gifts that the prince has received over his lifetime. It's a complete tapestry of his life, his influences, and what he holds dear. To visit Highgrove is to literally meet the prince and to understand him better. One of the most famous areas of Highgrove is the Wildflower Meadow, which alone is worth the ticket price in the springtime. This is Time Walk. The bold promenade draws your eyes towards the house and terrace garden, while the eccentric shapes of the yew topiary create a whimsical aesthetic, and there is a lot of whimsy at Highgrove. The yellow yew were here in 1980 when he bought the house, but they were just round balls, and Charles was advised by everyone to take them out. Instead, he patiently turned them into weird and wonderful shapes. Here's another room, the cottage garden. Everywhere are the most glorious flowers, drifts of color, and everything looking so healthy. And of course, there's a kitchen garden. Everything at Highgrove is grown organically, flowers, fruit, and vegetables alike. Prince Charles relies on the use of natural fertilizers. For example, more than 100 wheelbarrows full of manure from the prince's cattle herds are used in the garden every year. Highgrove is a feast for the eyes and the senses, particularly smell, as so many of the plants were chosen with fragrance in mind. This part of the garden is called the Stumpery, and it is a Victorian throwback, which Prince Charles single-handedly made popular again. This part of the garden is mysterious, shady, and populated by old upturned stumps of huge trees which were blown down in the big storm of 1987. Underlying everything at Highgrove is the prince's deep felt conviction that his garden must be self sufficient, with emphasis on water conservation, green waste recycling, natural pest control, and organic fertilizers. As such, the garden works on all levels, beautiful to the eye of any beholder, and an inspiration to gardeners wishing to benefit from the prince's experimentation over more than 3 decades. I hope you will join me for the full program, details of which can be found on my website.